My name's Andrew Lenehan, for those of you who don't know me. I'm the Regional Account Manager for Prodigy Learning, who manage the Microsoft certification program within Grimsby, or within Grimsby Institute. And I just wanted to talk to you today about the value of micro-credentials for today's jobs market. And it was good, I noticed on the keynote this morning that micro-credentials were brought up twice. So yeah, it's an interesting program, and good to see that that's been picked up, kind of not just at Grimsby Institute, but elsewhere in the FE market. So I'll just kind of go into you and first of all introduce you to Prodigy Learning for those of you who don't know who we are. So we are an ed tech business, and we manage certification, credentials and solutions on behalf of major software organizations. In the main, Microsoft is our biggest customer, but then very closely followed by Adobe and Autodesk and some other certs that I'll talk to you about further down the line. And what we do really is to help students and to help staff prove what skills they already have. So it's not just saying, you know, I am good at Microsoft Office, and I'm confident in Microsoft Office. It's saying I'm certified by Microsoft in Word, Excel, PowerPoint, etc., which I'll talk to you about a little bit further down the presentation. So just a kind of quick snapshot of our customer base. So the main kind of side of the or sector that we deal with is the academic sector. That's by far and away the biggest side of our business. So we work with customers such as Grimsby Institute, Leeds City College, Newcastle College, and then universities such as Cambridge, Leeds, Liverpool, MMU, lots of different organisations throughout the country. We have a public sector organisations as well, such as NHS and the prison service, and training providers. So this kind of tends to be the apprenticeship providers. So a lot of this, there's a lot of crossover with colleges as well in here. So we work with the likes of QA, Arch, Robust, who deliver the Microsoft Technology Associate and others as part of their apprenticeship program. So we have at the moment mapping of the MTAs into a number of different standards, but then we have other apprenticeship providers who use things like the MOS certification, Microsoft Office Specialist, to enhance their provision and to kind of be that I guess their USP, that, you know, not only are they delivering an apprenticeship standard, but they're delivering a recognised micro credential from Microsoft as part of that. So a big kind of area of that would be business admin and AAT apprentices, where they might do an Excel or a Word, because that's kind of, you know, one of the things that they do. And then finally, we also work directly with a lot of corporates for staff CPD. That tends to go through more of our kind of central organisation, so I don't do a lot of that. But a lot of the corporate work that I do kind of tends to go back through colleges. So the college might have the relationship, but we'll supply the micro credentials and the resources. So why do we do it is the kind of, I guess, the main question. And what Microsoft recently did some work with IDC to identify the most sought after skills for employability across the world, and Microsoft Office was number 3 in there, as you can see. If you actually make this a little bit further, I think if you go down to the 30th top, Office products such as PowerPoint, Excel and Word, they all actually feature in there individually, but as a suite of software, it's number 3. You know, I mean, I've kind of I'm more of a kind of corporate, so I haven't come from the education background, and I don't know any businesses really who don't use Office, whether they're using Macs or whether they're using PCs, they still use Office. So it's a really kind of, you know, really important skill for students to have. And then kind of, if you look at, you know, number 1 there, written and oral communication skills. Again, written communication skills, pretty much everybody, you know, I'm using PowerPoint today, I might write a letter or an email. Everything uses Office skills, so it all tracks back to that. So it's kind of all about increasing the employability for your students. Looking at kind of the Microsoft in particular, the InDemand Skills in the UK. Again, we did some work last year on Indeed, and we looked at different regions in throughout the country as the kind of the in-demand skills for the different software companies. So you can see Google are always relatively high, but right along the end here you've got Microsoft, you know, way above everybody else. So I'm based in Manchester, so you can see the massive difference in the amount of jobs that are looking at Microsoft skills as opposed to Google, Cisco, and Apple. And similarly, sorry, I'm ahead of myself. Similarly, in all of the different areas that we looked at, the balance of demand is all about Microsoft skills. So the certification and the micro credentials that we offer are all there to help to bridge this gap between those vacancies and actually making them into real jobs and putting those students in there. So vendor certification itself, another word for the micro credentials. The biggest program that we offer is the Microsoft Office Specialist, and this is something that I know over at Grimsby Institute is really kind of pushed, particularly by Elaine. I'm not sure if Elaine's on the call at the moment, but Elaine Topham there really kind of pushes the whole Microsoft stuff and the benefit of that. So there's three different ways of doing it. So there's the associate level, there's expert level, and then there's the option to become a MOS master. So most students would take the associate level. So they're broken down into Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook. There are others in 2016. The 2019 versions at the moment are being developed. So we're currently at Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook. And you can also do Access in 2019 now as an expert level. So each one is there to prove your skills and to enhance the student's knowledge of the product. The other thing as well, so although we do talk about this as being employability, as a college or as an FE institution, you'll see benefits, particularly things like PowerPoint and Excel in the quality of the work that you're getting from students. So if a student has to do a presentation as part of their course, the fact that they've gone through these credentials and got extra skills and they know more about the software, they can then provide you with better quality of work, which then enhances their results in other areas. So it's very kind of a kind of cross-curricular benefit from the certification. One for educators themselves is the Microsoft Certified Educator program, which I know Deborah and the team over at Grimsby are really kind of going to look at, particularly for your own educators and for your PCG students over the next year. So the MCE is mapped to the 21st Century Learning Design, which I'm sure most of you have heard of, and it covers all of the rubrics and the skill sets for using technology to enhance learning provision. So it's not for technology teachers, it's for teachers who use technology, which I guess is the whole point of the day-to-day, is that kind of bridging that digital skills gap, and not only for the students, but also for yourselves as educators to be able to do that. And I know that Deborah very well passed her certification back at BET, and I believe that we're going to be running the Test Fest or the Test Fest Evil in October, and Deborah, the principal, is going to be taking an exam as well, I understand. So hopefully we'll have another number of good results from that, right from the top down. The other Microsoft paths that we manage as well are the Microsoft Fundamentals program and the MTA. So as I mentioned earlier, the MTA, Microsoft Technology Associate program, is that's mapped to a lot of the apprenticeship standards. And although some of them might be removed with the new look standards, a lot of the big apprenticeship providers that we work with have already indicated that they're going to remain delivering the MTAs to their students, because they see them as not just a nice to have, but they're essential, particularly for for technology students and technology careers. So it's the first step on the Microsoft roadmap, where you'll see there in the pyramid, you've got the get hired, which is the kind of that first kind of step, and then to get ahead, there's further exams, and then to become an expert and recognised in your role, then you can take the expert levels. So that the fundamentals is a brand new program that was released at I want to say September last year. So it was at the end of the year last year, and the main and the most popular at the moment program on there is the Azure Fundamentals. So it's kind of the basics and the fundamental side of cloud computing and software as a service of Azure, which is Microsoft's cloud storage program that employers will be looking for, particularly in more technology roles. And again, just quickly going over the MTA. So these are the ones that I was mentioning, which are mapped to apprenticeships. Things like mobile device fundamentals, software development, network fundamentals, which I believe is the most popular of all. So again, it's kind of given those students that very first step on the Microsoft roadmap to really kind of differentiate them from other students that are going into the workplace when they're fighting for roles. And I think more so than any time probably that I can remember, it's really going to be a competitive jobs market out there over the next few months, and probably over the next few years as well. So your students that are going to be going into the jobs market in August next year, they're going to be up against people who might have 4 or 5 years experience, maybe more, who have been made redundant because of the current economic climate. And so having those extra credentials can really kind of set them apart and help them to get into the roles that they're looking to move into. I did mention earlier as well the Adobe certification. So we manage the Adobe certs in things like Dreamweaver, Photoshop, and Premiere Pro. These are going to move to more of a role-based and sector-based exam. So there'll be a number of different exams that students will take to then become, a Photoshop or a designer. So that will be moving further forward. But these are very popular in the academic institutions, but also it's very popular in corporate worlds as well, because Adobe, they are the go-to software for any creative. There's just nothing else out there that students and people in the creative industries use. So they're very popular, and they're delivered on a commercial basis by a number of different providers as well. And then the Adobe certified user as well. So this is the areas that kind of for engineers, for BIM, for building information modeling, for students who are doing computer graphics and games design. Autodesk again are the go-to software for that. So there's a number of different ACUs that you can do in AutoCAD, Inventor, Revit, Maya, and 3ds Max. And I did understand that the 3ds Max is one of the most popular for games and graphics, and we do have another certification from Unity, which maps very closely and works very closely with the Autodesk software, which I'll talk to you about on a slide further down the line. Sorry, and I'm just going a little bit ahead. So certification action, and this is something that I get really passionate about, because I previously worked in a recruitment role, and I used to see so many CVs of people that would come along and say I'm competent in Word and Excel, and I mean it might be 27 or 2007 in those days, it's a long time ago, but everybody's CV would say words to that effect, and it was just their own personal opinion of themselves and not necessarily based on any fact. So we kind of, you'll see a job out there looking for an experienced accountant, and one of the big things that they'll be looking at is PC proficient and able to thrive, must have strong work and strong experience of Excel, Word, and Access. So again, how do we know that a student has got that, or a person who's applying for a role? Because everybody's CV will say, as I say, excellent skills. But on the right, you'll see Josh Walker has changed his CV because he's been to Grimsby Institute and has done a Word, Excel, and PowerPoint exam. So he is certified by Microsoft. So it's actual fact. It's not just Josh's opinion of himself. It is a fact that Microsoft, the owner of the software and the developer of the software, have certified Josh in Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. So the value of that certification for his CV is really important. And also you get the nice digital badge on there as well, which I'll talk to you again. There's a slide with regards to digital badges, but you can print those off to add to your CV. But yeah, again, kind of how do we know? So digital badging is the next one. So I know that in Deborah's session earlier with regards to Level Up for Students, there was a lot of talk about digital badging, and we have digital badging for the Microsoft qualifications as well, and the Adobe. So all of our certifications, Autodesk, the Unity, and everything have a digital badge which can be shared on LinkedIn, Facebook, on Twitter. And it proves those skills. I mean, LinkedIn's probably the most important, because that's where recruiters do their recruitment. People I used to work with in that market now, it's completely different. When I worked there, they will go and search for people with different skills on LinkedIn, and then contact them to see if they're interested in roles. And again, having those badges, the MTA, the MOS badges on there, really kind of make students and employees stand out. So what you'll see when you go onto a digital badge, it will give you job insights. So it actually works directly with the different jobs boards that are out there. So I think Indeed is the biggest one in the UK. So what it will do, you kind of see the skills underneath there. So the skill sets that students needed to create to pass that exam. On there, they'll click into database administration. You can see there, and what it then, the Acclaim site with the digital badge on will actually do is it will show them all of the live roles for customers, or for businesses that are recruiting for people with those skills, and they can go straight through to the job, and they can see the jobs listing, the advert, and they can usually apply directly from that as well. So using that digital badge to really kind of, to specify the skills that they've got, and then how those skills will match to that particular role. So how we deliver, and how I know Grimsby Institute do a lot of follow this particular coursework, is we have a 4-stage learning pathway. So it starts off with the skills analysis. So as part of all of the micro credential certification that we have, there's Gmetrics is our online platform for practice tests and skills analysis. So a student will take an analysis at the beginning. It will give them a report showing kind of the areas that they're weakest. So generally, when somebody gets to FE or HE, they've got some knowledge, and it might be a case of just filling in any gaps, or actually certifying that they've actually already got the prior knowledge. So the skills analysis will come out with a report at the end of it, and it will show them breaking down into the skill sets and the modules that they need to complete to pass the exams, which areas they're weakest in, and which areas they need to focus their training. And then the learning solutions that we have, things like Microsoft Learn, which has got some fantastic resources. There's lots of really great resources, particularly for the new fundamentals programs. I just took an Azure fundamentals exam myself last week, and I wouldn't have passed it if I hadn't used the free resources on Microsoft Learn. And then we also have LearnKey video training, and then there's other resources such as the Microsoft Imagine Academy with ebooks and lesson plans and everything in there as well. And then again, you go back to Gmetrics for practice tests. So the idea is that although it's a 4-stage learning process, is you learn process 2 and process 3 will be kind of the two that students go through. So they'll go through their learning solutions, they'll take a practice test, and the idea would be they may have taken or got maybe 45% in their skills analysis, and by using the learning solutions, they're now up to 50% and they're up to 60%. And from you guys as a college, you're able to then go into the admin platform of Gmetrics and look at a student and see their progression. So it's great for Ofsted in that you can kind of look and say, well, Andy took a skills analysis on the 1st of September and got 35%, and by the 1st of December he was up to 90% and he passed the exam. And you'll be able to see all of those practice tests and all of those analysis that I've done to be able to show that progression route. And then finally, hello.
And just before we move on, anyone who's in this channel, Claire Riley will be talking about the Microsoft Learn after this session, because that really works well with this session. So I'm just direct, that we've got some more detail about everything you're talking about now from a student perspective. Just wanted to that.
Do you know what? Thanks for reminding me, because I did it in my head. I thought I need to tell people that Claire's on, but yes. So thanks for that, Deb. So yes, and number 4, which is where we're looking to lead everybody to, is that certification. The MOS, the Adobe, everything. So once they've gone through all of the resources and the training, and I know down or over at Grimsby, Elaine does MOS Club generally on a Thursday, but I'm not sure whether that's kind of continuing with at the moment with social distancing. But at the end of it, there's either a test fest when everybody comes in and takes the exams on the same day, or there's the kind of exams that you can set. So the Compass testing software that we have is 24/7 on demand. It can be used at any time. You don't have to book. We do also have at the moment, it's going to be available right now until the 30th of December. I'm not sure if it'll be extended out beyond that, but there is a possibility, depending how we are for working from home, where students can actually take exams at home. We've had a lot of success over that since April when that was launched. There is one university over in the Midlands who've done around about 700 exams on the online program. So it's working really well, and students are really enjoying, and the fact that they can still take exams whilst they're working from home. And then what else for Prodigy Learning? So I did mention earlier that there are other certifications that we do. So we have the very basic kind of digital literacy IC3, and that's it's Internet Computing 3, and the number 3 is because it covers 3 different strands. So there's key applications, which is a basic knowledge of Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. IT infrastructure, so things like setting up your broadband at home, set up your computer, adding your printer and all of those kind of things. And then one that's really important is living online. So, I think when Deb Gray was talking this morning about, things are changing and everything's moving to online and digital. And I think, some people, particularly, I think it's been highlighted more over the last few months that people are left behind, if they don't understand how to live their lives online. So it covers things like, internet security, personal security, and everything like that. So it works really, really well for people with a basic knowledge. And then the EC Council, so you see in the middle of the ethical hacking and cyber forensics associates. So these are really important. And again, they're fairly new. They've been around for about 18 months and they're starting to grow. We had a really good program down at Lincoln University who are doing the first kind of mass program of students. So they're in the process of that at the moment. And again, I think apologies if I got the name wrong, but I think it was Robin who was talking this morning about cybersecurity for colleges, and I know of a couple of colleges who've had cyber attacks recently. One was kind of still having a lot of problems, and I'm not sure if they've got access to email just yet. So again, things like that is not just for students but for your own staff. Using the ethical hacking as the kind of the testing out everything, making sure that your systems are up to date and they're not going to be able to be hacked. But then equally, cyber forensics, if you are hacked, how you find out who's done it and kind of and fill in that gap and making sure that it's not going to happen again. And then two, their communication skills for business and ESB. ESB, entrepreneurship in small business, is really good qualification that's been rewritten for the UK market. So it looks at things like setting up a business, the tax issues, and all of the types of things that an entrepreneur might need to kind of to understand to run a successful small business. And then finally, you've got the Unity certified user as well, which again kind of maps very closely along the game and units with some of the Autodesk certifications that we have. And if anybody has any questions about them, feel free to drop me a message. I'm going to message in the Teams, or I'm also going to put my contact details on at the end of the presentation. And then finally, just I'm doing okay for time, I think, at the moment. So anybody have any questions that have come up from that? So is there anything that anybody would like to ask about any of the certifications and the micro credentials?